Good evening, I'm Karen Devine. John White has the night off. Tonight, live at 5.
I'm Jake Ingracia. An Indio man shot and killed at this apartment complex. What the victim's family members are saying tonight in my live report straight ahead.
Plus, a man accused in a deadly DUI crash in court today, what he is requesting from the judge. And a man on a roof at a store in Palm Springs now in custody, what we've learned about the suspect.
You're watching KESQ, the desert's news leader. This is News Channel 3, live at 5.
New developments tonight in a shooting Friday in Indio. Police now searching for an 18-year-old suspect. News Channel 3's Jake Ingracia is live at the Indio apartment complex where a young man was killed by gunfire. And Jake, you've learned the identity of that victim?
Karen, that's right. Neighbors at this apartment complex say the area is overrun with gang activity, but a family member of that victim tells me today that he was a good kid who liked to play sports, and to him, this homicide just doesn't make sense.
It's like my hand, you know, my body.
The uncle of a 22-year-old shot and killed Friday, feeling the blow of his loss.
It's like you give a punch.
Police haven't released that victim's name,
Sobrino era.
but his uncle identifying him as Mario Manuel Velasquez, saying his nephew wasn't the type to hang around trouble.
She don't have no problem for nobody. That was a nice body. I mean, boy, you always have two friends, have a party and everything, but you know.
You were very close with him?
Yeah, all my boys.
The shooting Friday evening in the Alonzo Apartments on Clinton Street in Indio. Neighbors telling us that shooting happened in this unit of the apartment complex. They didn't want to appear on camera because they say gang activity is rampant here, with a shooting happening 2 years ago and 3 years ago, a stabbing. And police naming 18-year-old Jorge Keenart of Thermal a suspect in the investigation, one of two other people in the room when Velasquez got shot. Police say he took off right after the shooting. The victim's uncle describing him.
Era bien inteligente el muchacho.
He was really intelligent. He was a serious guy. He never had a problem with anyone. I don't understand what he was doing here.
And that uncle demanding answers.
Quiero investigar eso también yo.
I want to know what happened. Why that guy is still on the run. What happened? That's what I want to know.
And police say they've been working non-stop since Friday to locate Jorge Keenart, actually upgrading him today from a person of interest to a suspect in the case. Reporting live in Indio, Jake Ingracia, News Channel 3.
Jake, thank you. If you have any information about this case, call Valley Crime Stoppers. The phone number is there on the screen, 760-341-STOP. Your tips can remain anonymous. You may be eligible for a cash reward. A Cathedral City man accused of driving under the influence pleads not guilty in the crash that resulted in the death of his wife. 46-year-old Mario Garcia was arrested last Tuesday at Desert Regional Medical Center, where he was being treated for injuries sustained in that crash. Cathedral City's police chief is telling us tonight that Garcia's blood alcohol level was more than 3 times the legal limit to drive. Garcia's wife, 45-year-old Lynette Sobel, died in that crash. Garcia is now requesting to attend his wife's funeral.
There is a program with law enforcement, and if law enforcement has no objection and is willing to allow him to go to the funeral with armed guards, of course he would have to pay for that, or somebody would have to pay for them. The judge has no objection to that.
Garcia will return to court on October 31st, where he faces vehicular manslaughter charges. Well, we're learning more about an armed robbery at a family-owned ice cream shop in Indio. Employees at Coco Freeze say a little after 9 last night, a man entered the shop waving a gun at a female employee, demanding the cash in the register. When the employee said she didn't know how, the man grew anxious and just ran out of the store with the tip jar.
I just glanced thinking he's a customer, and then I saw Cindy panic. She just ran. She's like, oh my God. And then she ended up running, and I just saw it, and he had a gun towards her. At night in this area, I mean, it's kind of scary.
Well, this comes just days after a similarly armed man also robbed Mi Tierra Bakery and a Metro PCS in Coachella, as well as El Tapatio restaurant in Indio. Police have not confirmed whether or not the incidents are related. And again, if you have any information about this case, call Valley Crime Stoppers at 760-341-STOP. Tips can remain anonymous. You may be eligible for a cash reward. A La Quinta man in custody tonight accused of breaking into vehicles at a dealership yesterday morning. Police say 27-year-old Cole Sanders was searching through vehicles at a car dealership on Highway 111. He was arrested on scene. Police say Sanders stole an estimated $15,000 worth of tools and a 2017 Cadillac CTS. Sanders was arrested and booked into the Riverside County Jail in Indio. A man is in custody for being a felon in possession of a firearm. Police say they responded to a call of a shooting yesterday morning on the 84,000 block of Caladula Avenue in Coachella. When they arrived, police say they found a home had been struck by bullets. Police say 39-year-old Froilan Ramirez was arrested for being a felon in possession of firearms, possession of a stolen firearm, and a felon in possession of ammunition. Ramirez was booked into the Riverside County Jail in Indio. Well, we're staying warm and even warming up a bit. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Haley Clausen tracking your conditions on this Monday night. And Haley, what happened to our fall-like temperatures?
They've left us for the moment. We have been in the 90s since Friday. The low 90s, but still, note what an average high is for this time of year. Upper 80s. So we're not too far away from where we should be, but still it's on the warmer side, especially after our very mild last week. It was fantastic with our highs in the 80s. We'll eventually get back there, but today was no different. We came in again at 91 degrees this afternoon in Palm Springs, still keeping our mornings nice and mild or low in the mid 60s. Now we're still going to be dealing with the 60s every morning moving forward, but those 90s aren't done with us yet. Here's a hint. We're actually going to be dealing with them every day this week. Yeah, it's going to be a warm week, but enjoyable when you head outdoors tonight. Now, we are going to be experiencing some clouds overhead, humidity just about 30%, and our winds maintaining a little bit more of an onshore flow compared to what we were dealing with last week. Still going to be generally out of the north, about 10 miles per hour, though. Temperatures taking their time to cool on down into the low 80s by 8 and 9 p.m. Now, I said we're staying in the 90s, but we're actually going to be warming up just a little bit more compared to where we were today. We'll take a look at those numbers coming up in my complete First Alert forecast.
Haley, thank you. It was quite a sight in Palm Springs this morning as a man was captured by police after an approximately 2-hour standoff. News Channel 3's Jeremy Chin spoke with witnesses and has more on the man who officers say has had prior run-ins with the law.
The area of Sunny Dunes and Industrial Place in Palm Springs was shut down for about 2 hours due to this standoff, causing a disruption to traffic and businesses. A dramatic scene unfolding Monday morning as Palm Springs police officers chase after a man on the roof of Builder's Supply, the man jumping down on his own before being captured.
You know, what an ordeal to get all these officers and everything off duty to, take care of something like this. It just seems kind of crazy.
Officers identify the man as 30-year-old Vicente Garcia. He spent about 2 hours on the roof of Builder's Supply, at times pacing and dangling his legs, screaming at officers, and even attempted to jump off the roof. Another witness says it appears he was on drugs.
They have incredible energy, and they don't even know what they're doing, and they act like Superman, and they just climb from roof to roof and just create problems for everybody in the vicinity.
Garcia is no stranger to Palm Springs police with prior arrests for drug and theft-related charges. They say Garcia first climbed on the roof of Palm Springs Tires, managed to scale back down, then climb on wires onto the roof of Builder's Supply, where the standoff occurred. Witnesses glad to see the officers bringing it to a peaceful ending.
They want to protect him as well as the citizens and the people in the area, so they do a good job.
Officers say Garcia was taken to the hospital after he was captured. He's been booked on charges of resisting officers and being under the influence of a central nervous stimulant. Reporting in Palm Springs, I'm Jeremy Chen.
Thanks, Jeremy. President Trump saying that he will take action against the migrant caravan traveling towards the U.S.-Mexico border.
I will seal off the border before they come into this country.
Next on News Channel 3, why the president says he will be cutting aid to the countries the migrants have traveled through so far. Plus, a man is shot after he's forced his way into a news station in Washington, D.C., what we know about the incident. And it's National Teen Driver Safety Week, what driving experts are now saying about teen drivers. You're watching KESQ, the Desert's news leader. Now to the growing humanitarian crisis over the border. The caravan of thousands of migrants continues pushing forward toward the U.S. As Natalie Brunell reports, it's sparking fierce political rhetoric just 2 weeks ahead of the midterm election.
A sea of determined migrants continuing their march to the U.S.-Mexico border with more than 1,000 miles to go. There are as many as 7,000 in the caravan, most from Honduras fleeing violence and poverty. ABC's Matt Gutman on the front lines.
For Blanca, there is a serious concern that the gangs who killed her husband are going to come back for her family.
The migrants learning there's power in numbers, first bursting through the border gate separating Mexico and Guatemala. Mexican federal police in riot gear poised to cut them off, now retreating over concerns about physical or violent confrontations when there are so many children. Most in the caravan refusing asylum in Mexico and trudging on despite the heat and lack of food and water. President Trump vowing over the weekend to stop them if they reach the U.S. border.
I will seal off the border before they come into this country, and I'll bring out our military.
He echoed that threat on Twitter Monday morning, making an unsubstantiated claim about Middle Easterners mixed in the caravan, then continued to attack the Democrats for the border crisis, tweeting, "Every time you see a caravan or people attempting to come into our country illegally, think of and blame the Democrats."
President Trump went on to say, "Remember the midterms," and tweeted that the U.S. would now cut off or substantially reduce foreign aid to several Central American countries. Natalie Brunell, ABC News, Los Angeles.
A security guard is forced to shoot a man at a news station in Washington, D.C. It happened at the Fox affiliate around 3 this afternoon. No word who the person is or why they were trying to get into that building. Police say the alleged intruder survived the shooting and was taken to the hospital in critical condition. And still no word on who shot a Georgia model last week. A celebration of life was held for Kelsey Quayle, who crashed her car into oncoming traffic while driving in an Atlanta suburb. But when she was taken to the hospital, doctors noticed she had a bullet in her neck. Quayle had only recently moved from California to Georgia. According to her family, didn't have any enemies. Authorities are searching for clues, but right now, surveillance video of the car crash is their best lead. Quayle's sister says she may have been caught in the crossfire of a road rage incident. Students are speaking out about National Teen Driving Safety Week. Next on News Channel 3, what they're saying about getting proper experience behind the wheel.
We are looking to warm up this week. We've been hanging out in the low 90s for 4 days now. Well, as we progress, we're actually going to be warming up into the mid 90s before the week is over. We're still going to be dealing with very warm and sunny conditions, but at times clouds are going to be passing overhead like we're experiencing right now. My complete First Alert forecast is coming up next. You're watching KESQ, the Desert's news leader.
It's National Teen Driver Safety Week. News Channel 3's Kai Beach goes more in depth on what you can do to keep your teen safe on the open road.
Car crashes are the leading cause of deaths for teenagers here in the United States, and experts say every single day 6 teenagers die because of them.
There's a lot of young drivers at Palm Springs High School, and not all of them are the most focused.
You know, they'll be texting or they'll change the music or...
Senior student Thomas Wang tells us about the dangers of distracted driving that he sees from his friends.
Yeah, it's mostly like this. You know, up, down, up, down, up, down. You're taking somebody else's life in your hands. It's
National Teen Driver Safety Week, and Wang wants his peers to pay attention.
When I'm in the passenger seat, I feel pretty powerless because, there's nothing I can really do about it.
And experts tell us one of the biggest distractions for teen drivers are cell phones. So they're telling young drivers to put them down before they start driving.
It takes about 5 seconds to read or send a text message. Traveling at 55 miles per hour, that's like traveling the entire length of a football field blindfolded.
AAA spokesperson Doug Shoup says new research shows that teen drivers who are riding around with only other teens dramatically increase the chances that a crash turns deadly.
The fatality rate increases by more than 50% for everybody involved in that crash.
Shoup says making sure teen drivers are safe behind the wheel is everybody's responsibility.
So I try and say hey man, hey, watch out, pay attention.
But Wang says telling that to an actual teenager is much harder than it seems.
But there's only so much I can do. I don't want to be get off your phone, I mean I will politely say it, but there's only so much you can do because it's their decision, so.
Now for tips about what you can do to keep your teen safe out on the road, go to our website, that's KESQ.com. Reporting at Palm Springs High School, I'm Kai Beach for News Channel 3.
A pedestrian remains in the hospital tonight after being hit by a car last night. The crash happened along North Palm Canyon around 7:30. The roadway was closed between Tamarisk and El Alameda, but fully reopened around 12:45 this morning. The man who was hit was taken to the hospital with critical injuries. The driver is cooperating with the investigation. Stay with News Channel 3 for any new details on this crash.
Now, First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Haley Clausen.
Here we are. It is 5:18. Current temperature in Palm Springs 88 degrees after a high this afternoon of 91. That is warm, but it's not too excessive. We're only 4 degrees above what's considered normal for this time of year, but the thing is we're going to continue heating up over the course of this week, so prepare yourself. All the while, we're still going to be keeping it nice and dry. Humidity only 22% at this hour. Our winds just about 10 miles per hour. So our winds are actually going to be shifting over the course of this week, and it's their direction that is really going to be influencing our weather. The speeds are going to be staying light. Look at our Toro Peak sky cam right now. This is looking towards the east. You can see plenty of clouds out there. Some of these will be following us into the rest of tonight, so expect to see those clouds out there. But it's going to be making a beautiful sunset just after 6 p.m. So get those cameras ready. Those clouds moving in from the west, continuing to stream towards the east. This will be the pattern that continues throughout tonight into tomorrow, where we're still going to be able to enjoy plenty of sunshine. But those temperatures remaining warm not only now, but throughout the rest of this evening, not cooling down into the low 80s for Palm Springs until 8, 9 o'clock tonight. Our morning lows, however, will still be finding themselves in the 60s. So a nice mild start every day, but we are keeping it dry. Humidity less than 30% at this hour. We're enjoying pretty mild temperatures, or at least we were. The reason we were was because of a trough of low pressure, and it's still with us, but it's actually going to be moving across the state, and then we have high pressure building in. And we know high pressure keeps us dry, and it also sends our temperatures through the roof. I don't want to say through the roof, warmer than where they should be. It's not very fall-like out there right now. So that high pressure is going to be building. Our wind direction will be shifting to help keep us dry with an offshore flow. And so, yeah, we're going to be saying it's a little on the hot side because by the end of the week, we'll be about 10 degrees above where we should be for this time of year. So when we're looking at our future casts, again, going to be dealing with some clouds out there for tonight, plenty of sunshine for Tuesday. But as we head into Wednesday, get ready for a cloudy start. They'll clear, and then we can enjoy clear skies throughout the rest of the day. Otherwise, again, we're staying nice and dry. Note these dew point temperatures beginning to drop a little bit more as we continue throughout the week. We like to see those numbers lower and lower. Makes it more comfortable for us desert folks. But the reason those numbers are dropping is because of that ridge of high pressure. So there are the numbers. We were in the low 90s today, but by the end of the week, mid 90s. Ready for it?
I don't know. I was getting used to the air conditioner not coming on for a while.
I know. The electric bill this month was fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little push,
warm.
little warm, but we know it won't last.
All right. Thanks, Haley. A rafting trip turned deadly. Next on News Channel 3, what survivors are saying happened. You're watching KESQ, the Desert's news leader. Five people, including 4 American tourists, are dead after a tragic rafting accident in Costa Rica. As Maggie Rulli reports, some of the survivors are revealing how the horrific accident unfolded.
We're bringing a waterproof.
This video was taken just minutes before the group of 14, all friends since high school, would head out onto the river in Costa Rica to celebrate a bachelor party. This is the last video and photo they would take together. Just minutes into the trip, all 3 rafts capsized. One survivor, Chris Comas, tells ABC News, "All of us were careening down the river just trying to stabilize and find something to hold on to as our bodies ricocheted against the rocks." Comas adding most of us were ultimately able to await the rescue teams. Unfortunately, not all of us were so lucky. The groom survived, but the water took the lives of Jorge Caso and Ernesto Sierra, the brother of the groom, Sergio Lorenzo, as well as Andres Dennis. In a statement, Dennis's family said they're devastated. He had just graduated college and was studying for the LSATs. The guide, Kevin Thompson Reed, died on Saturday as well. The group was out on the Naranjo River near the Pacific coast, a very popular place with tourists. But authorities say the river was swollen by heavy rains and there was an alert for possible flooding. The U.S. State Department's working with local authorities to investigate exactly what happened and to bring their bodies home. And the money raised from this GoFundMe page will help their families deal with those funeral costs. Maggie Rulli, ABC News, New York.
Tomorrow is the 26th Desert Sampler. This year's Desert Sampler takes place from 5 to 7 p.m. at the River and Rancho Mirage. 100% of all proceeds will go to our local schools. The cost of a ticket is only $10 at the event. You will be able to try delicious samples from a variety of local restaurants. It's always a good time. The weather is great. You probably see 1 million people you know. It's just worth it.
It's very enjoyable, and the great news is, okay, it begins about 5 o'clock, and our sunset is about 6 o'clock. So, yes, we're having warm afternoons, but once that sun goes down, you know it feels fantastic out there. So Rancho Mirage is the place to be tomorrow evening. I will be there. Come say hi. Temperatures will be finding ourselves in the 90s throughout the rest of this week, especially for Friday and Saturday. Those morning lows in the 60s aren't too shabby.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a warm-up, but you know, we're used to the sun, so we'll enjoy it as we can. Thank you, Haley. And thank you for making News Channel 3 your choice for news. Stay tuned for ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir. We'll see you back here in about a half hour at 6 and whenever news breaks on the air and online at KESQ.com.